and gentlemen, I'm going to talk about at what stage are we in the minority movement. Specifically, I'm going to talk about the struggle in the United States of how the minority are still a marginalized group, how we still aim to get acknowledgement and eliminate our inferiority complex as a minority group within these societies, and how, and I'm going to tell you what we're aiming for and what we should aim for and why this is like one of the most effective ways to unite us as a movement. And yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. So, not going to dwell on the mechanisms here. We believe that how we would want to embrace the inaccurate positive stereotypes is that we're going to promote more. We're going to say how proud we are of like our athletic features. We're going to use these figures as part of our movement and portray ourselves as a model citizens within the country and itself. We think that this is an effective countermeasure to fight against the derogative views that we are lesser compared to the majority people who are white, who are Caucasian, ladies and gentlemen. Because we think that this is especially needed more than ever because of that division, because of the inequality that the minority groups experience, how many of the people in poverty in the United States are African Americans. So we think that our aim to celebrate our culture, to unite ourselves, we have to believe in the identity that we have is something that is so positive to be proud of, even if they're inaccurate scientifically. Yeah. We think that this will push people to aim for higher, to want better, to see themselves in a positive light, compared to believing what society has portrayed on us very negatively. So that's what we aim to do. So any questions?
Yeah. Why do you think it's okay to reduce the functions of individuals that is very complex to a singular function?
Because in the society, that's what we are right now, very much reduced as African Americans to someone who is violent, someone who's very individuals, that our stories are not carried forward. So that's why we think that we need to reinforce first with the positive stereotypes. Yes, African Americans are very good in music, and yes, we love Beyonce, and Beyonce should lead our fight, and we want more Beyoncés before them understanding the story behind her success, the story of what we are as an individual. So why do we think that using our stereotypes to our benefit is necessary more than ever? Oftentimes, as minority, we live in so much prejudice, right? We, as African Americans, they get stopped and frisked all the time, that they get shot and killed in the streets, and this criminality rates create the white flight out of our neighborhood areas, creating poverty pockets within like black neighborhoods and white neighborhoods. So rather than fighting in the streets for Black Lives Matter or go towards violence against the police and like reviving the Black Panther movement and showing ourselves as this movement based on violence or aggression, we think we should model ourselves, we should portray ourselves as a model citizens. Why? Because we think that when we focus on our strength and our positive traits, it's better to negate the current stereotypes that exist compared towards going into aggression, which reinforce the fact that African Americans are barbarians, or like are more their areas are more prone to criminalization because they take up arms. These kind of movements. So we think that focusing ourselves as like uniting ourselves through music, to athletes, to our positive attributes, provides a chance for us to be represented and seen in public as part of the society, that we do have a value to put forward within the bigger group, whether or not you're African American or Asians, and so forth, that you're not only secluded in your Chinatowns and only within your community, but you do have the fact that you are smart, or like the positive myth of that you can be better compared to other forms of society. Before going forward, you had a POI? Nope? Okay. Now, we think that when we resort to nonviolent actions and provide ourselves as a positive portrayal of citizens, it's easier for us to be accepted as a minority group. Why? Because how does acceptance happens, right? Acceptance happen when they don't feel us as a threat. That we are not a movement that are against the white supremacists, which is rising in the United States and in a lot of Western countries that are against minorities. That we are good in our own way, but we are not a source of threat to your existence. And that's what we want. We don't want society to become more polarized in portraying that we are a counter movement towards this white Caucasian movement. And second of all, we think that for acceptance to happen, they need to be habituated to see us as part of the society every day. And having more of us being portrayed as a model citizen, aiming for our youngsters and everyone to be good in this positive stereotypes and embracement, like more people in music and raps and athletes telling our story forward. We think that having white kids see them as an idol as well and see them as a model citizens habituate that feeling and saying that it's something that we see every day. But second of all, and most important of all, we think that we need to embrace our positive threats internally as a group to reach the aim that we want. Why? Because what minorities are struggling with most often, the reason why they don't wake up or they don't unite and they don't fight for their rights is the internal confidence within them. We have to remember that for a lot of these groups, the reason why they're marginalized is because they have internalized the oppression amongst themselves, that they become, because how the societies see them every day and how the different treatments that they accept, they see that it's part of the everyday life, that I am lesser, that maybe I'm poor because I am lazy, because my family doesn't seem to work, that my father has left. So these stereotypes stick with them, that I'm meant to be inside this position and this is the only future for me forward. So we think to counter that, the mentality of the oppressed, we need something to believe in. And we think that the positive stereotypes create that pride to unite people together. And we can't do this if we still have the violence going on, because these ideas counteract, and my second speaker will elaborate that forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Prime Minister.